There's a moment every people pleaser knows by heart. Someone asks you for something, your time, your energy, your weekend, and even as every cell in your body screams no, you hear your own voice say, "Sure, of course, no problem." And then you spend the next 3 days quietly hating yourself for it. Here's what nobody tells you. You weren't being kind. You were being compliant. And there's a brutal difference between the two. People-pleasing doesn't come from being too nice. It comes from learning, usually before you were old enough to have a choice, that your safety depended on managing other people's feelings. In psychology, we talk about fight, flight, and freeze, but there is a fourth survival response that almost nobody discusses: fawn. Fawning is the act of appeasing a perceived threat to stay safe. If you grew up in a home where love was conditional, where a parent's mood was volatile, or where being easy was how you earned approval, you learned to read the room to survive. You became an expert at anticipating needs before they were voiced. You mastered the art of making yourself small enough to slip through every social situation without triggering anyone. That child was doing something brilliant. They were adapting to an environment they couldn't control. The problem is that child grew up, but the strategy never got the memo. Here's the part that stings. There is a hidden power move inside people-pleasing, and most people who do it have never seen it. By making yourself the person who does everything, who never says no, who always shows up, who can always be counted on, you create a dependency. You make yourself indispensable so that people can't leave. It is a way of controlling your environment through submission, a manipulation disguised as selflessness. And here is the even darker truth. If you are liked by everyone, you are truly known by no one. The version of you that people are attached to isn't you. It's a performance, a shape-shifting, room-reading, relentlessly agreeable performance. And deep down, some part of you knows it, which is why no amount of validation ever actually fills the hole. You're getting applause for a character you're playing, not the person underneath. Let's count the bill. Resentment that rots you from the inside. Every yes you didn't mean is a small withdrawal from your emotional account. Over time, the people you give the most to become the people you resent the most because you've handed them a bill they don't know they owe. You smile and simmer, until one day something small tips you over and you explode at someone who had no idea a balance was even due. An identity that disappears. When you spend years calibrating yourself to what others want, your own preferences atrophy. Ask a chronic people pleaser what they want for dinner and watch the short circuit happen in real time. The muscle of wanting things hasn't been used in so long it's practically gone. You become a magnet for the wrong people. This is the part nobody wants to say out loud. Your lack of boundaries isn't just noticed by kind, grateful people. Narcissists and manipulators have radar for this. Your open door policy is an engraved invitation for people who are very comfortable being catered to. You filter out equals and attract users, not because you're weak, but because your signal is miscalibrated. An exhaustion that has no name. It's not physical tiredness. It's the fatigue of performing a version of yourself all day long, of monitoring, modifying, and managing yourself based on whoever is in the room. It is the cost of never once in an entire day simply being. Before anything changes, you have to catch the stories running the show underneath the behavior. If I say no, they'll leave. Maybe, but anyone who leaves because you finally had a limit wasn't offering you a real relationship. They were offering you a transaction. You were the currency. I'm just being a good person. Good people have limits. The most generous humans in history still slept, still said no, still had a self. What you're calling goodness is a compulsive inability to disappoint. And that's about your anxiety, not their well-being. It's easier to just do it in the short term, but you're training everyone around you that your time is infinitely available and training yourself that your needs are infinitely deferrable. You haven't avoided the cost, you've just deferred it with interest. Here's where most content fails you. It says, just set boundaries, as if that's a simple instruction for someone whose entire nervous system was wired around appeasement. You don't undo decades of conditioning with a motivational quote. You undo it by doing the thing that feels wrong over and over, until it starts to feel right. The 24-hour rule. The people pleaser's greatest enemy is the reflexive yes, the sure that leaves your mouth before your brain has even processed the request. Your new script is 4 words. Let me get back to you. That's it. That's the whole move. It creates a buffer between the request and your response. It lets your nervous system settle so you can make a choice from logic instead of fear. The tiered no. You don't have to go from 0 to confronting your most difficult relationship overnight. Build the muscle on low stakes first. Send back the food that was wrong. Decline the group chat. Tell a friend you'd rather see a different movie. Every small act of self-representation is a repetition. You are training a muscle that has never been used. Respect the process. Learn to sit in the silence. When you finally say no, stop talking. Do not fill the silence with apologies, justifications, or explanations. Here's a dark psychology truth. Over-explaining is a submissive behavior. When you justify your no, you hand the other person ammunition to negotiate with. A no should be a house, not a tent. It doesn't need stakes and ropes to hold it up. Let people be disappointed and survive it. This is the actual work, not the scripts, not the frameworks. The work is experiencing someone's unhappiness with you and discovering that you do not die from it. Every time you get through someone's frustration intact, you rewrite the neurological script that told you their disapproval was lethal. You have to collect those moments like evidence, because right now your nervous system doesn't believe it can survive disapproval. You have to prove it wrong, one uncomfortable moment at a time. Embrace what they'll call your villain arc. When you start saying no, people who benefited from your boundarylessness will react. They will call you difficult, selfish, changed, accepted. Their discomfort with your boundaries is information. It tells you exactly how much your compliance was serving them. You are not responsible for managing the feelings of people who are inconvenienced by your autonomy. The reason you keep seeking external approval is that you are trying to fill an internal void with it. You need others to confirm you're good, because somewhere along the way, you stopped believing it yourself. Start here. Audit your relationships with cold eyes. How many of the people in your inner circle would still be there if you stopped doing favors tomorrow? If you stopped being available on demand? If you finally showed up as someone with actual edges and opinions? The answer might be chilling, but it is necessary information. And ask yourself, if I were the only person on earth, would I still want to do this? If the answer is no, you are performing for an audience. You are spending real pieces of your actual life managing other people's perceptions of you. That is the real cost, not the resentment, not the exhaustion. The cost is your life, lived inauthentically on other people's terms. Stopping people-pleasing is not a gentle process. It is the death of the nice you, the agreeable, accommodating, endlessly available version you've been performing, and the slow, uncomfortable birth of the real one. The real you might be more polarizing. The real you will definitely have more time, more energy, and more self-respect. The real you will be capable of relationships that are actual relationships, not arrangements where you are the only one paying. People don't connect with mirrors. They can't love a reflection. They can only love a person, and a person has preferences, limits, and the occasional inconvenient no. Your yes has been free for too long, given away reflexively, anxiously, automatically, to keep rooms comfortable and people from leaving. Starting now, your yes becomes expensive, reserved, meaningful, not because you've stopped caring about people, but because you finally started caring about yourself. And the people worth keeping in your life, they'll respect you more for it. The ones who don't, well, now you'll finally be able to see them clearly.